All right. Thank you guys so much for coming. Welcome to Plan Smarter, Not Harder, How to Plan for Your Financial Future, brought to you guys by Advantage Financial Brokers. My name is Ariyan Johnson. I'm an associate here, and I'm accompanied by Sandra Murillo, our marketing director. Um, just a quick introduction. Here are some of the things that and some of the services that we provide, just retirement planning, some life insurance, business planning, child head start planning, and a couple of the companies that we work with. So you have plenty of options. If you don't like one, we can always go with another. Our goal here today is to increase the financial knowledge of as many people as possible. If you focus here at the top, here you can see that higher income earners tend to know the most about their personal finances, which kind of follows my philosophy that the know you more about your money, the more of it that you can keep. And we can see a bit of lower numbers in underserved communities, which means it's not being taught as much or not being widely available towards them as much. And we can also see a bit of lower numbers in younger adults, ages 18 to 29. And it's not that much higher, but also in ages between 30 and 49. Luckily, though, with technology, a lot more information is more widely available. And then you also have people like myself and Sandra who can make this information a bit more digestible for you, so that it's a little bit easier to understand and a little bit easier to grasp, so it doesn't just seem like someone speaking a different language to you. So when it comes to planning financially for your future, there are a couple of things that you want to do. One, you want to have some safe financial growth for a couple of things. One, like buying a home. Buying a home can be extremely expensive to start. If you just think about closing costs, I know for our house, it was roughly about $10,000. And if you don't have assistance, that can be extremely difficult to cover. And sometimes once you buy the house, you also have to consider that the house might need repairs that the seller is not willing to fix. Our house, we needed new windows. We also needed there were some issues with our washer and dryer. And then once you get in the house, you also need furniture. I remember looking for a couch for our living room, and they are crazy expensive. And there are so many other things that you need to be able to make your home livable. There are also things that you have to prepare for in the event life happens to you for your emergency funds. There are a wide spread of medical emergencies that can happen to anybody. I had to be out of work for 2 months towards the end of my pregnancy because I physically couldn't work anymore. And that was not in the plan. You never know when things going to happen, and you want to have some kind of cushion to lean back on in case something happens, especially in my case, you have a loss of income. Also here it is hurricane season, which means there are a lot of trees falling on homes or on cars. And if your home and auto insurance do not pay for those things, you will have to pay for those things out of pocket. Also, many people don't consider this, or they feel like they don't have the ability to. It's retirement savings. Currently, if you've been paying attention to the news, it's been reported that the Social Security fund is running out. It's estimated to run out in 2033, which is actually down from what it was previously reported, which was 2034. And if you have any hope in the Social Security fund, just know that our country is currently $3.7 trillion in debt. So if that makes you try to look for any other options, I hope that does. Also, there's been an increase of people who are working over the age of 65, which means that they feel like they cannot retire because they don't have the money. There are also more people staying at work past the retirement age. I think the oldest they've been seeing is about 75. You want to be able to retire when you want to retire, and you want to be able to have that money to financially support yourself and just enjoy the fruits of your labor for working 40 or 50 plus years. You also want some guaranteed coverage. For the house that you just bought, I highly suggest getting mortgage protection. It ensures that if something happens to you before you are finished paying off your home is taken care of. Your beneficiaries will always have somewhere to live, and they don't have to risk it foreclosing because there was no protection or they don't have the money to pay for it. You also want to have end of life expenses, which it it sounds morbid, but it is expensive to die. Funeral costs, the average right now is almost $8,000 for burials, and for cremations, it's still about $6,300, and that was as of 2023. Um, Something that people don't consider are legal fees if in your state has to go to probate court, which sometimes it doesn't, but most cases it does. Even if your estate planning is mostly in order and there are very little to no complications, it can still range from 3,500 to about $7,000. And if you don't have that in pocket, then you're kind of screwed just a little bit, which is also like a push to get your estate in order. Please find an attorney and get that stuff settled to make it easier for your beneficiaries. There are also medical fees. If you or a family member passes in the hospital or in hospice or was at a rehabilitation home or anything like that or nursing, sometimes they will send you a bill for those costs. I saw a story of someone who lost their father, who passed away in the hospital, and then roughly 2 weeks after he passed, they sent him a bill for $750,000 for, I think it was a 2 or 3 week stay in the hospital. And if insurance doesn't cover that, then you are left to pay for those things in some cases, depending on how it was signed and all that stuff. You also want to have some financial stability for your family. If there is a loss of income, if you pass away, you want your family to be taken care of no matter what happens. Um, even if life happens, bills don't stop coming. You still have to pay for rent or mortgage or utilities or anything like that. And then you also want to be able to have a financial legacy. Your children need money in the future, and then their children and their children, and so on. Especially if you are struggling now, you don't want your family to struggle later. I'm going to pass it over to Sandra, who can give you a little bit more specifics and details on how to plan those things and the different vehicles that we use over here. So whenever you're ready.
All right, thank you for that, Ari. Guys, round of applause for Ari there. She did amazing and way to put in perspective everything that we need to do, right, on a Monday night for a lot of you guys. But I just wanted to introduce myself a little bit more. I am one of the managing directors here at the firm, but I also am in Boise, Idaho. So we work all over the country at this point. So we are just here to give you guys more information. I know when Ari and I first spoke, we definitely wanted to help our communities and really just spread the word about what we're doing here. So, just to jump into it and piggyback off of what Ari was already talking about, a little bit more on Finance 101 in depth is just options for your money. So, how can we make your money grow and that kind of thing. So, number one, we all kind of know is a fixed account. That's your guys' checking account. Let's be honest, if we deposit $100 in that account and we wait 10 years from now, probably if you're lucky, the $100 will still be there if the banks haven't gotten some fees from that. But again, we need those fixed accounts just so we could pay bills, that sort of thing. So I know a lot of us have variable accounts. If we're in real estate, that would be any kind of properties you own, 401ks for if your employer has those, 403bs, TSPs for Army, so or military people, they're great. We know that if the stock market goes up, your accounts will grow. We also know if stock market goes down, unfortunately, these accounts do too. So, if you guys remember 2008 and what happened with, the housing, the crash, all of that stuff, we had seen horrible stories of people losing a lot of their money in a 401k. And so again, that's why we want to diversify Indexing is a different form of just having your money grow as well. If stock market goes up, you get to participate in that. Same thing as your variable. There is a cap. We'll talk about that. However, if stock market goes down, you guys are safe. So, if 2008 happens again, which we're hoping it doesn't, I know some Gen Zers are wanting that just so that they can afford a house, right? With all of the housing costs as of right now. But if it happens again, you just know that your portfolio is going to be okay. So, are you good to go there? Um, what we do want to talk about as well is just different forms of retirement accounts, how they're set up. If this has happened to you at all, where you just have an HR lady slap some papers and asks you to sign over a 401k or anything like that, and you don't really know how it works, we'll explain that. And then we'll also explain if you're currently self-employed, maybe some alternatives to a 401k. So for those that have some kind of IRA, deferred comp plan, 401k, they're amazing. If your employer's matching them, we always say, hey, take advantage of that. There are some rules with all of these accounts as well. They do lack liquidity. So you guys probably know if you save some money into these accounts and you're under the age of 59 and a half, they do penalize you to touching your money since they're intended to be long term. Depending on your state, you'll also have to pay a state tax and a federal tax. So, just to kind of put in perspective there, if you go all the way to basically 60, 59 and a half, and you didn't touch your money, say there's $1 million in your 401k, you won't be penalized. You will have to deal with the taxes though, once you are older. So all of these accounts are considered tax deferred, which means you haven't paid taxes on them. Our question really here is there a way that we can save where we can touch our money? We aren't penalized. You don't have to give a portion of your money to the government, right? We don't want to give that money to them, the middleman. You guys earned that money. You guys worked for that money. So, of course, there is. That's why we are here to kind of talk about those. So, currently, there are three tax-free strategies that exist. The first one is your municipal bonds. Now, within municipal bonds, some people have them invested with their 401ks. What is a municipal bond? It's an IOU to the government. Basically, you say, okay, state of Idaho, I will give you $10,000 so that you can build this park. In return, they will give you that money back plus 3 to 4% of your investment. Now, that's great. Um, a little bit about municipal bonds as well is you don't know when you'll get the money back for sure. And then inflation can also be up in the air if that same money is going to be worth the same amount for that time frame. So the second is a Roth IRA. Now, a lot of people, I say you should take advantage of a Roth IRA if you're able to. This is really great also for self-employed people. The limit, though, to this is $7,000 a year currently. They actually bumped it up from last year. So $7,000 is the max that you can contribute. Now, it is tax-free, but it's not penalty-free. Meaning, if you need the money before 59 and a half, the money that you've contributed, you can take out. Any money that has grown, that is what's going to get penalized in a Roth IRA. So it is up to market volatility as well. That can go up with the stock market, that can also go down. So you're not safe there fully, and there is some income limitations. A lot of people don't know this. If you are making more than the numbers that you see there, single or married, the government will say, congrats, you've made a decent amount. Now you can no longer contribute into this account. So, the third strategy is something we want to break down a little bit more just because it's not talked about. We're calling this a life insurance retirement strategy. It's definitely outside the box thinking. If you guys have heard how the rich are getting richer, they're not paying taxes. This is how they're doing it. And no, you don't need to be rich to start this. We have some hypothetical numbers here. You can always message Ari at the end of this as well to see your customized numbers with your age, your situation, your long-term goals. Everything is customizable. So let's say that in this scenario, there's a $500,000 death benefit and your premiums are $75. Could be more, it could be less. It depends on age, gender, and health history. You say, Ari, I want to save $425 monthly into something like this. Yes, you can do less. Yes, you can do more. For anyone in real estate as well, you can do it annually instead of monthly. So again, this is all customizable. In this scenario, $75 is going towards cost of insurance. The extra 425 that's going into your savings. So how this is growing is the indexing. So we are not picking Apple, Tesla stocks for you. It's gonna follow the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, the global, and this will have a floor and a cap that it will follow. So what does that mean? Stock market does 9% in this scenario, your account will make 9%. So will your 401k, so will other investments. Everyone's happy. Stock market goes down, let's say negative 12. In this scenario, everyone else is down. Your Roth is down, 401ks are down. Um, if you have this account, you won't make money, but you won't lose money. More importantly, you'll get to keep the 9% that's now locked in, and everyone else is down here. So, moving forward, if stock market does 15, this is where the cap comes into place. Everyone else will get that 15%. You'll only get 13. We still think that's great because you didn't have to play catch up like everyone else did. Okay. Again, if stock market goes down back to 20, again, everyone else is down. You won't make money that year, but you won't lose money in this account. So you'll get to stay there. That's great for people that are wanting to save money instead of just saving it in a bank where you know you're not getting, you know, your money isn't growing, I should say. Maybe in a Roth, you love the idea of a Roth, but you don't like the market volatility. Also, you're thinking, hey, life insurance just in case for my family. Another cherry on top here is if there's $1 million in this account compared to your 401k, it's all going to be 100% tax-free because it's structured underneath a life insurance policy. So again, we're using the death benefit as an IRS tax loophole that will allow us to do this, so that you have a tax-free account. You also are protected, and your family is protected, as Ari was mentioning at the beginning. Some of those things at the end of life expectancy, or at the end of life, I should say, do add up and cost lots of money. So just making sure those affairs are in order, is again super beneficial for you and your family. So yeah, you can go ahead, Ari. If you guys wanted to message us directly, here's our info. If you guys want to schedule something as well, something maybe simple as mortgage protection that Ari had mentioned at the beginning. She does have her QR code there. You guys could get approved within 7 minutes. If you are looking for more of that detailed, customizable plan, we can also talk about that, see how it fits into your portfolio. And the last thing I did want to mention too, before we let you all uh, go off to your families, do whatever else you guys were doing too. What we didn't talk about here is some rollovers. So what's a rollover? If anyone has an old 401k, an old 403b, TSP, what we were talking about, with an old employer, someone you don't currently work with anymore, we can customize that and transfer that over to your name using something like this or a completely different thing that we can talk about. So, Anyways, again, thank you guys for your time. I'll give it back to Ari. Thank you guys for listening. And again, if you guys have any questions, Ari and I are just going to hang out, and you guys can stay back if you want to talk to us. Thanks.
I'm gonna leave this up here just in case you guys need time to either screenshot or write down any of our contact information. But like Sandra said, we thank you guys so much for joining. If you have any questions, you can email us directly, or just put them in the chat, or we'll be here for a few more minutes. Thank you guys. Good night.